I'm heading from the Sunshine Coast Airport to tropical Cairns today, flying direct from Maroochydore to Cairns. Now there is a reason why I'm going to Cairns. I'm celebrating a birthday. And I've decided I would like to head north rather than south because my birthday's in the middle of winter. For many years, if you wanted to travel from Sunshine Coast to Cairns, you usually had to drive to Brisbane first, which is at least a 2-hour drive depending on where you live in the Sunshine Coast hinterland area. Thankfully, direct flights are back, making it easier to get direct from the Sunshine Coast to Cairns. Today, my flight takes about 2 hours and 20 minutes, or 2 hours and 40 minutes, I can't remember now, and is approximately 1,326 kilometres, I believe. And at least the airport's being upgraded right now, although I think it's being upgraded for such a long time.
Seat directly to gate number 3, as boarding for your flight is closing.
Depending on which seat I'm in, I might catch a glimpse of Kagari, Great Barrier Island, Capricorn Coast, and maybe even the Whitsundays.
We do apologise for the delay to boarding your service today. We do apologise and we thank you all for your patience.
Oh well, so much for watching that flight depart.
That's 1 there and 2 boarding at the front door, please. Thank you.
Jetstar was launched in 2004 as the low-cost carrier of the Qantas Group with the aim of making travel more affordable for everyday Australians. Their business model is simple: keep fares low, allow passengers to choose the extras they want, and make flying more accessible for more people.
Our flight time up to Cairns this afternoon, approximately 1 hour and 56 minutes. Once again, welcome on board this Jetstar flight 808, shortly bound for Cairns.
When Bonza ceased operations in April 2024, the direct Sunshine Coast to Cairns service disappeared. Recognising the demand for this popular route, Jetstar launched its own direct flights, restoring a fast and convenient link between the Sunshine Coast and tropical North Queensland.
Hello again. We want you to have a safe and enjoyable flight, so please listen closely.
Jetstar offers a range of food and drinks for purchase on board. I chose to pre-book my meal when I booked the flight. For today's flight, I ordered the pumpkin quiche along with the spinach and feta roll, making for a convenient lunch while viewing the views on the way to Cairns.
Thanks for joining us on board today's flight. We hope you have a great time.
One of my favourite ways to pass time on flights is by reading on my Kindle. It's lightweight, easy to carry, and lets me pick up exactly where I left off, making even a short flight feel relaxing. I always make time to look out the window as well.
The cabin crew team will now be seated for landing.
I never tire of watching the ever-changing cloud formations and the patchwork of farmland, winding rivers and distant mountain ranges below. Every flight offers a different perspective, and for me the view outside is just as enjoyable as the journey itself.
Thanks again for choosing to fly with Jetstar. It certainly has been our pleasure having you on board. We do look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Cairns Airport is the gateway to tropical North Queensland and one of Australia's busiest regional airports, welcoming millions of passengers each year. Opened in 1928, it has grown from a modest airfield into a major hub for domestic and international travel. It's in close proximity to the city, just 7 kilometres from the CBD, making it a convenient starting point for visitors heading to the Great Barrier Reef, the Daintree Rainforest, the Atherton Tablelands and many of the region's other iconic attractions. Cairns was founded in 1876, establishing itself to serve as a port for the Hodgkinson goldfields. The original wharves were much smaller than what you see today. As Cairns grew, so did the port. Between 1910 and 1913, this impressive wharf complex was built, complete with timber wharves, large cargo sheds and rail lines running right alongside them. This waterfront would have been bustling with steam ships unloading cargo, workers moving stacks of sugar and timber and livestock being unloaded, and trains waiting to carry goods throughout the region. During the Second World War, this wharf here became even busier. Cairns played a strong role in the Pacific campaign, with many Australians and American troops passing through the port here. Military supplies, equipment and vehicles were constantly carried through here on their way further north. Those birds are so tiny. I think it's about 27 degrees here in Cairns today. You can tell that this is the tropics. The grass looks different. Even the hills around the area here look different. I quite like this walk around the wharf here. Dundee's. That brings back memories of a movie. This part of Cairns Wharf is now the departure point for ferries to Fitzroy Island and other Great Barrier Reef destinations. One day I need to find someone who has a pole ski, you know, the old stand-up ski. I used to ride those back in the day. So right now I'm walking out along the wharf where there seems to be a lot of people heading off somewhere with cases. I wonder if they're going to Fitzroy Island. That poor woman didn't quite understand how to ride the jet ski, and I was quite surprised because the tour operator of that boat that I had in the background, I stopped filming because I felt embarrassed filming in front of other people. He was telling her what to do, like, go back. If you can't drive it, go back. But if you can't drive it, you can't go back, right? And on that note, when we got here yesterday afternoon, we've been using the public buses to get in and out of town, and we'll pick up our hire car tomorrow. I forget what it's like using public transport, especially if it's buses, because man, some of those bus drivers can be incredibly rude. Although the guy last night made up for it, he was very polite. Who's walking who? Not quite sure what this video is going to be honest. It might just end up being highlights of my time here. I wonder how much those Cairns jet boating trips cost. I wonder how many alligators are in there, or crocodiles. For some reason that fascinates me, just what is holding up that part of the wharf and the walking bridge. Check out these utes. It always fascinates me how many utes have all the bling, rhubards, antennas, bright lights, and the sheer size of the vehicles. It's a really nice setting down here. I'm really enjoying this walk. These giant trees around Cairns are mostly what I believe are strangler fig trees, which apparently begin life high in other trees after birds or bats drop their seeds here. As they grow, they send long aerial roots down to the ground where they thicken into trunk life supports. Over time, these roots surround the original host tree, which may eventually die and decay away, leaving the fig tree standing on its own. Cairns' warm, tropical, humid climate is of course perfect for these trees, allowing them to grow into some of the largest and most impressive fig trees in Australia. Lake Street is one of Cairns' main thoroughfares, running north through the city toward the waterfront and providing access to hotels, restaurants and attractions. Another of Cairns' heritage buildings is the Hydes Hotel. The original hotel was built in 1885 by George Parker Hydes and Duncan McColl, quickly becoming one of Cairns' social centres. The heritage building you see today isn't the original. It was commissioned by the O'Hara family and built between 1928 and 1936. They kept the well-known Hydes name, which had earned a strong reputation for over more than 40 years. After George Hyde died in 1895, his widow Elizabeth took over the hotel, becoming one of the few female hotel licensees of her time. There is a plaque here that says a time capsule containing items from the Cairns RSL Club over the road there is encased and buried here. It is intended to be unearthed on Remembrance Day, 11th of 2068, lest we forget. I wonder if I'll still be alive then. 2068. That guy on the top of that statue there, I suppose, indicates the importance of Cairns' involvement during the Second World War. Cairns was an important base for Allied forces across the Pacific, or in the Pacific. The Cairns Esplanade Walkway is one of Cairns' most popular waterfront walks. It stretches along the Trinity Inlet and the Coral Sea. This information board explains how the Cairns waterfront looked very different in the early days of the town. Before the First World War, wide sandy beaches stretched along the esplanade, and decades of dredging to keep the Trinity Inlet and the harbour open transformed the shoreline here. Sand from the dredging, along with land reclamation, filled the swamps and reshaped the foreshore, creating much of the waterfront and parklands that you see here today. Cairns Esplanade Wildlife, Mangrove and Mud Animals. It's a favourite spot for locals and tourists, I guess, to walk, cycle, run and generally relax and enjoy the atmosphere of being near the water in a tropical climate. I quite like this sculpture, the Citizens Gateway to the Great Barrier Reef. Created by Indigenous artist Brian Robinson, it celebrates the diversity and resilience of life on the reef. The artwork symbolises reflection and stewardship of this World Heritage Site. It honours the traditional custodians of the Cairns region and promotes the mission of the citizens of the Great Barrier Reef Foundation to unite people globally in protecting the reef and driving positive environmental action. That's the helicopter pad. You can tell it's designed to rise and float with the water or the tides. Since European settlement, maritime infrastructure has been vital to the development of Cairns. Wharf construction occurred in several ways between 1878 and 1900 when private and government wharf leases were developed to support sugarcane, mining and passenger transport needs. This design here led to the construction of 5 300-foot, 91.4 metre long concrete walls that would form one continuous quay line. The first concrete wharf in Cairns was the third such structure constructed. That was pretty good. In Queensland, and likely fourth constructed in Australia. Wharf 1 to 5 are one of the few remaining examples of early reinforced concrete wharf structures in Australia. During World War II, the need for additional wharf space led to the construction of Wharf 6, a timber structure that adjoined the 5 original concrete wharves, built in haste and during a time of rationed resources. The timber wharf and walls 1 to 5 served both the Australian and United States navies. A portion of the original timber structure was conserved and some of the concrete deck removed to show the internal structure of the wharf, providing insight into how the wharf was constructed during the wartime period in 1941 to 42. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon on the next one.